Hello and welcome back to the second episode of the Up the Score podcast. Let's go. I'm Houston Darden, as you know, for those who tuned into our little intro video. This is my co-host, Thomas Hart, and today we have a decent amount of stuff for y'all today because obviously it's been a couple weeks. We had spring break, school, and a lot has happened. Free agency, March Madness kicked off. You had the March Madness play-in. Saw some stuff go down. Texas losing to Xavier.
Goodness.
I already said free agency, NBA. Playoffs kick off in a couple of weeks. What is it, 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. We're going to give y'all some of our sleeper teams to make a noticeable playoff run. Today we're going to give y'all our teams who won free agency and just stuff like that. Oh, and MLB kicks off.
6 days.
6 days. My first season being a committed baseball fan.
It's going to be really good.
That's going to be
really
crazy.
Excited.
But yeah, today we're just going to start off with some March Madness stuff. If you want to kick us off today, Thomas.
For sure. As of right now, while we're recording this episode, there is games going on. So you got Duke up big on Mount St. Mary's at halftime.
Mm-hmm. Expected.
Vandy up on St. Mary's, and Ole Miss up a little bit on North Carolina.
And sorry to interrupt you there.
You're good.
North Carolina has been catching a lot of flack recently for even making the tournament. Some say they shouldn't even been thought of, and right now they're trying to. They beat the who'd they play last and they're playing. I kind of forgot, but I know they beat them by like 20 plus, and so I think North Carolina is really on a path to prove the haters wrong per se. Some people just, like I said, don't think they should have been in the tournament in general.
Just a down year, but you're really seeing a lot of hate because of their star player trying to get his 6th year of eligibility. But
it's crazy.
You just got to let him do what he can do. But, without Cooper Flagg, they almost beat Duke. But now they got to prove it. So,
yeah, I think that's what it is right now. They're in prove it mode. And right now the score is 20-11. Ole Miss is up in the first half. But, it's March Madness. There's a lot of game left, and anything can happen.
For sure. And I don't know if y'all seen, but McNeese State upset Clemson with their first tourney win in their history of the program. That's pretty good. And
do you think McNeese is an early Cinderella candidate?
I don't know. I feel like Amir Khan, I rock with him. A lot of people are hating on him. He's bringing a good aura to the team.
Some of those stats from that McNeese Clemson game. McNeese shot 43.5 from the field, shooting 27 for 62. And then shot 21% from three, going 4 for 19. And they only beat Clemson by 2, but that doesn't really show how bad of a first half Clemson put up. They put up the least amount of points in the first half in a first-round March Madness game since Michigan, who previously put up 16. Clemson put up 13.
What a stinker.
And they did try to come back, as you see, but it was just, what do they say, too little, too late. McNeese they were already gone. They were running just high energy. First round of the playoffs, they've already been in the news with their walkout and whatnot, kind of 49ers-esque.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just too little, too late. And so now they moved on to the second round of the playoffs where they will play Purdue. And I think they just gotta ride this high they're on right now. That's like the key for all Cinderella teams is to just ride the high, because I can almost guarantee half of America always roots for the Cinderella team if they're not going against their team.
Mm-hmm.
So I can almost tell you that everyone that's going to be tuning into this game that isn't a Purdue fan is more than likely rooting for McNeese State. So they just gotta try and keep riding this high they're on right now to make it as deep as they can.
Yeah, for sure. And it's all about just getting hot at the right time, it doesn't matter if you're a 16 or a 1 seed. At the end of the day, just like getting hot is all it takes. I mean, it's just a month.
Yeah, when that shot is falling, it's kind of just.
It's about 2.5 weeks until the Final Four. So
And speaking of March Madness, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Trey Johnson, Texas freshman. We went to the same middle school. Went crazy in his March Madness debut. Sadly, his first and only March Madness game, as he is a projected top pick in this upcoming draft as a freshman.
yeah, for sure. Trey Johnson, the freshman, man, I'm very excited. He just gets buckets, and he always has. He had 23, 6 boards, and 2 dimes in their play-in loss, and they really just didn't let him bring up the ball up the court. But I feel like if they did, he could have had even more. But that's why he's a protected top 5 pick. Who knows who's going to get him, but they'll be lucky.
You know, I was looking at Tank Master. I was looking at the draft prospects right now, and I think Tank Master has him at 8. But it's just like, anyone can go. I feel like, you got the Ace Baileys. It's just, I think this year it's just anyone can go 1. It's just a matter of, those around those draft week narratives, the smoke screens, stuff like that. And who knows, we might have a situation where somebody just pulls up and randomly gets picked 1. You never know,
I feel like Cooper Flagg's the safe number 1 pick, but man, there's a lot of talent. There's just
a lot of talent, a lot of big guards too.
Yeah,
this is the season of the big guard. Literally a guard that's in there is what, 6'10"?
Yeah, it's insane.
Like, it's just crazy work. So excited. We got to get past the playoffs first, but I'm excited to see how this year's draft season goes, because anything can happen. March Madness could boost some guys' stock. It could drop some guys. You just never know.
Mm-hmm. And with that, we are going to move on to the NBA. With 3 weeks left into the playoffs, me and Houston will both give some teams. I was thinking sleepers, but mine isn't really a sleeper. It's just like, I know they're going to get it done, But would you like to go first, or?
I'll go ahead and go first. So if there's one thing you should know about me, I'm all for the underdog, or just the team that no one really expects to win. So my first sleeper is in the West. I did both conferences. I did the Houston Rockets.
Nice.
I was talking about this earlier with Thomas. The Houston Rockets remind me, for anyone that played AAU, any type of basketball like that in high school, they remind me of that energetic team that's just good to the point where they're just having fun. And after not making the playoffs this year and right now seated 2nd in the West, it's just like, you never know. I feel like they could be that team that has really no expectations on them.
For sure.
So it's like they could just like be playing free and just like shock some teams. Like, and I think they can take some good teams to at least 6.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially with the defense. You got NBA villain Dylan Brooks, and then you got one of the Thompson twins. I always get them confused.
Asar? Yeah.
Is it Asar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But like
or it's a man. I'm sure.
See, they look exactly the same though. Like, they're literally the definition of identical twins.
Yeah.
But they just have it. Like, they just have that youthful energy that can get them to, like, when they get kicking, like, we see Jalen Green, he can jump through the gym.
Yeah.
And if he gets going, who knows what this Rockets team could do, So I'm just excited to see them play.
Yeah, the defense is insane. I mean, you got like Tari Eason, Amin Thompson, Jabari. They have so many guys, and
they're all young, and most of them are homegrown too.
Yeah, and then the addition of Dylan Brooks is looking real good now.
Yeah, yeah. When you see any of the Thompson twins in front of you playing defense, if it's me, I'm giving up the ball. He got it. Because if I don't want to ever have someone guarding me that's excited to play defense. Mm-hmm. You feel what I'm saying? And the Thompson twins, I feel like they just love playing defense. Like, If they had the green light, they'd full court press you the whole game, and it would make you want to just fight them.
Yeah, they play angry, and I love it.
And they're super athletic, so it's not like you're gonna outrun them. They're gonna be there with you step for step. So
They jump out of the world.
yeah, so I'm just excited to see this young Rockets team and see what they can do in the playoffs.
For sure. I picked the Cleveland Cavs. Obviously, not a sleeper, like I said. It's the number 1 seed in the East. But some people just don't realize how underappreciated this team has been. Like, they're insane right now. And led by Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, both very good guards. Evan Mobley having a crazy season. He could win Defensive Player of the Year. Averaging 19 a game, 9 boards, and 3 assists, and he's averaging 1.5 blocks per game. And he's in like top 10 in MVP discussions. And nobody talks about Evan Mobley, you know? And that's a very deep team. You got Ty Jerome coming off the bench, Karis LeVert, Max Strus, George Niang. They have 3-point shooters. And like this is a very dangerous team in the East. And I'm excited to see what they can do in a few weeks. So
Yeah, one day I was don't recommend doing this, but I was in class and I was just like, you know what? Let me just watch an OKC versus Cavs game. And watching that game, it just showed that the Cavs just have those guys that can just like camp the 3-point line. And then when like Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland drives and everyone else starts to crash, you just kick it out and they're going to lace it every time. So whoever plays the Cavs are just going to have to adjust to that like real fast and figure out how to not shut them down because it's almost impossible, but figure out how to slow them down in a way.
yeah, and I'm thinking about this. I'm dumb because Karis LeVert just got traded for DeAndre Hunter, but that's a pretty good deal when you're already winning all these games, and now DeAndre Hunter added to the roster. I've seen him; he's been hooping out for them, and I think he has like it's an insane because he was from Virginia, a Cavalier, and now he's on the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh.
So he might be the best Cleveland. He might be the best Cav of all time.
Never
His
know.
record, he only has like 4 losses
Uh-oh.
as a Cav.
But yeah, I can definitely see the Cavs finally making that deep run since LeBron left. They've been fiending for it.
Yeah,
so
they're scary now. So.
all right, and then my second team to make it, the Detroit Pistons, the team who had their fans waiting for those free wings last season. Now, the Pistons, I'm not saying they're going to make the finals, but considering what we saw from the Pistons last year, it's like night and day. You know, Cade Cunningham said it last year in a press conference. He said they were talking about the record, and he was like, "We're not this bad."
Yeah.
Whatever the record was, he was like, "We're not this many losses bad." You get what I'm saying? And they're showing it this year. Cade Cunningham hit a game winner the other night. It's just again one of those young teams who I feel like are just gonna shock some people, and I don't expect them to make the finals, like I said, but I just don't expect them to just lay down. Like if they were to play a higher seeded team, I don't just expect them to lay down. I expect them to put up a good fight because they have the other Thompson twin. They have Cade Cunningham, Isaiah Stewart. Like they also have defense over there, and then they can also equally score. So it's just they're also one of those teams that you just got to make sure you don't just go into the game thinking, oh, this is the Pistons. They didn't even win that many games last year. You know, they're only the 6th seed, but you never know. Like at the end,
to get a basket on
yeah,
the guys.
at the end of the day, basketball is a game of momentum, and whoever has the momentum, that's where the game is.
Yeah.
Sorry to say, like if a team just starts shooting the lights out, like it's gonna be hard to stop them.
Like, man, I see them and I'm like, if I'm a guard, I'm super scared to play the Pistons. You got
They're all big.
Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren, Asar Thompson, like just them 3.
And then Cade Cunningham
I'm
at
shivering
the point
timbers.
guard position.
Yeah.
Like you don't really see, 6'2", 6'3" point guards anymore. Most point guards are like 6'5". Like most point guards right in the league now could play one through the 3.
Yeah.
And then there's one in the draft that could really play 1 through 5 if the team runs small ball. So I just feel like the Pistons could really shock some people. I just feel like these two teams in general, the younger teams, no one's really expecting nothing out of. I can just feel it that they're gonna shock some people. Both teams didn't make the playoffs last year, and right now, like neither of them are in the play-in.
Yeah.
Like they're just in the playoffs because these are the kind of teams like after last year, the Pistons probably weren't even thinking about the playoffs. They probably would have been happy to sniff a play-in, but right now they're like comfortably in the playoffs. They're the 6th seed, and then you got the Rockets who go from not in the playoffs to the 2 seed in the West. That speaks a lot. So I'm just excited to see how these 2025 NBA playoffs go.
For sure. And for my last team, I'll move a little quickly here. The Lakers. The Lakers, since getting Luka Doncic, and we know LeBron and Rui are a little hurt right now.
Yeah.
But man, they were talking about how they had no defense. They've been rated the number 1 defense.
Jackson Hayes took everything that was said personally.
Yeah, Jackson Hayes on offense, he's always been a rim runner. With Luka turns role players into pretty good players. Look what he did last year with Derrick Jones Jr., just making his 3-point percentage just skyrocket, career highs, and get him a contract for the Clippers. He's making Jackson Hayes look very good. And that's not saying he's not good. That he was a top 10 pick, but man, he's doing very great. Dorian Finney-Smith and Jared Vanderbilt playing great defense out there in LA. And I bet Laker fans are just so happy they don't have D'Lo running the 1 anymore. They got
just chucking stuff, just chucking it whenever he feels like it.
Yeah, but man, this team is very good.
And he also got AR-15, who when LeBron nor Luka in the lineup, he just wants to go for 50.
Mm-hmm.
So if he can, it's just the Lakers are very dangerous. What are they? The fourth seed right now. They can definitely LeBron can definitely make a push for that ring.
Yeah, for sure.
He's coming to the end of his career. He could finally make that push for what is it? The 5th?
It'd be his 5th.
Yeah, make the push for that 5th, and then they won't be able to say it's a Mickey Mouse ring.
Mm-hmm.
They love to put an asterisk on the ring in the bubble.
That's stupid.
And then also speaking of the Lakers, shout out Bronny James, man.
Yeah, shout out 17 points last
17
night.
points. Shout out Bronny James.
Let's
Give
go,
me a
Bronny.
second. Where is it? Shout out Bronny James. Come on now. Oh. They're giving it up for Bronny James twice. Listen to that.
He deserves it.
People tend to forget. First, Bronny James was a 2nd-round pick, which is in NFL equivalent, that's like a 6th-round pick. He also went in a cardiac arrest during his college career. And so the fact that he's even able to play in the league is already a thing in itself. Yeah, you're going to say, oh, he's only in the league because of his dad. Of course. There's a lot of people who are in the league because of who their dad is. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, and then we've seen Bronny will go down to the G League, go off in the G League, come up and barely score, but that's just because it's his first year. You have to give him time. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and say Bronny's the next LeBron, but I feel like Bronny could make a living in the NBA as a starter.
Yeah, for sure. And he's 20 years old, born in 2004. Like, we were born in 2006.
Yeah.
Like, Bronny makes me feel like, oh, dang, like, I'm not a millionaire,
Yeah.
But the NBA, like, role players like Alex Caruso and Dinwiddie on the Mavericks, like the guard, like, those are, like, multi-millionaires, and they hoop. Like, they're very good. And I think he can be that in just a few years.
And who really knows what his ceiling is? Because at the end of the day, like, he's been training with some of the top trainers since he could dribble a ball. You know what I'm saying? His dad is LeBron at the end of the day. So we truly don't know, like, what his ceiling is right now. And right now, he's just getting better constantly. And obviously, when he's playing, the whole Lakers arena just wants him to score.
Mm-hmm.
So you just never know. It'd be kind of a Cinderella kind of thing if if they made the finals and then Bronny like not went
Yeah.
off, but kind of went off in
That'd
the
be pretty
finals,
cool.
and then they won. That'd be kind of crazy. But I'm like I said, NBA final like playoff season. That's just like one of the best times in a year,
Yeah,
bro.
it's electric.
And it's just unexplainable. Up there with March Madness. March
Mhm.
Madness is up there too.
For sure.
So what do you want to talk about next, Thomas?
With that,
Sorry.
no, you're all good.
Muted him on accident.
And with that, we'll move on to. We'll stay in LA, but we're gonna go to the MLB with the Dodgers. LA citizens are very lucky that they have the Dodgers and the Lakers. And the Dodgers just finishing up a 2-game sweep in Tokyo to start off the year without Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, both MVP guys. And coming off a championship ring with Ohtani in his first year, it's looking like they'll probably do it again. It's pretty sad for MLB fans, but it's like they're dominating. And then a late signing by the Braves with Alex Verdugo, a 1-year, $1.5 million, which he'll start off in AAA, but he can only have one demotion to the minor leagues. So he's bound to come up. And Verdugo is a good player. He just needs to be consistent with the bat. So it's like, you're getting good defense, and for $1.5 million, like, why not? Like it's bound to be better. And the Diamondbacks, they're pretty good, and it's unfortunate that they have to be in a division with the Dodgers, the All-Star team. Man, it's that team just brought in Josh Naylor from the Guardians in a trade after losing their first baseman. And that team is super stacked after also getting former Cy Young Corbin Burns to pitch. But it's like, will it be enough? You're in a division with the Dodgers, and not to say it this many times, but
It's the 2017 Warriors.
yeah, it's just, like once they got Boogie Cousins and Kevin Durant, it was just like, yeah,
It was just over from there.
it's over. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was kind of lost between what you were saying, but by the end of the season, I will be able to indulge in MLB talks.
Nice. And lastly, the first game of opening day will kick off at 2 p.m. Central Time, so us, but 3 p.m. Eastern. In the Bronx, the Yankees are hosting the Brewers. So
The Bronx.
the Bronx.
So New York is going to be a very electric place this week.
Yep.
This coming week. All righty. After some technical difficulties, we're back. So right now, we're going to go ahead and jump into our school. There's the March Madness, and then for the teams that, in the lower conferences that don't win their conference tournament, so some of those teams go to the NIT. And one of those teams is UNT. And we went to their first NIT game against Furman State, and we saw them win. And so far, they're in the second round, and they're going to be playing Arkansas State, who scored 103 points in their first round game. And UNT, they for some, obviously we have bias, so we probably wish they went further. We thought they were going to win the American and make it to March Madness, both women and men's.
Mm-hmm.
But they're in the second round of the NIT, looking for back-to-back NIT championship wins.
I don't think he's back to back, but it was 2023.
But 2 NIT championship wins in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so in UNT's game against Furman, they shot 54% from the field, 28 for 52, and 44 from 3, 8 for 18, and they were 80% on free throws. And as I was watching UNT play, they were just playing basketball. It didn't look like they were overthinking it. They were playing good defense. The bigs knew what they were supposed to be doing. There was a point, the first half, it was, it was a 2-point game. Furman was up. But once the second half started, you really saw UNT just get into a groove. And if even watching the game, you felt you felt the groove because it just felt like the second half just went by like that. Like you look up and then, oh my gosh, like the game is over. So if you were at the game, you understand like the super pit
Yeah.
was
It was
kicking.
rocking.
It was
Yeah.
rocking.
They were taking care of mismatches they saw on the court, not really forcing up any crazy shots, like finding open looks and just taking
Getting it to their
advantage.
scores at the end of the
Yeah.
day. And then Arkansas State, like I said, scored 103, shot 54% from the field as well, but on 22 more shots. They shot 40 for 74. They shot 46% from three, 16 for 35, and had 8 total turnovers, which UNT also had 8 turnovers. But I feel like the story of this game for UNT is definitely going to be like making sure whatever momentum Arkansas State had in that game,
Take it
make
away.
sure they do not even get like half of that.
Yeah.
Keep them on. They're up here. They're in cloud 9. You got to bring them down to ground zero.
Mm-hmm.
So that for UNT, that's really the story of the game. You know, go mean green. I want them to win.
Facts.
So they play this Saturday if I'm not mistaken, and so I will watch that game regardless if I'm here or not. But I can't wait to see that happen and then talk about it with you guys.
Go Mean Green.
And while we're here, go ahead and we've already talked about a decent amount of stuff. So go ahead and give us you guys' sleeper picks for the playoffs. March Madness, Cinderellas, all that. Who do you think's gonna win? Just go down to the comment section and go ahead and type that up for us.
Let us know.
And so the last thing we're gonna talk about, it's gonna take a while,
Mm-hmm.
because we can rant all day about this, but it's gonna be NFL free agency.
Yeah. So a majority of free agency stuff has been going on, and we picked some teams that did a lot to improve. Not the Cowboys, but
Speak for yourself. Panthers did pretty good.
we can argue, but
We did get baited with the whole Milton thing, but
yeah,
it's okay. We got Trayvon Mulrig. I kind of wanted Javon Holland, but it's okay. We improved at the end of the day.
yeah. So we picked some teams, and I'll go ahead and start off. So the Commanders coming off in the rookie season of Jaden Daniels, going all the way to the NFC Championship game, got whooped, but
Doesn't matter.
it's all right. The Eagles were just
You weren't even supposed to make the playoffs.
yeah, they were the best team in the league. Like
Yeah.
you went way above expectations, and just like that, they went out and got Debo Samuel,
Mm-hmm.
good player. You can think what you want about him, but he's a good player. We all know that.
Yeah, obviously he's not
Yeah.
the Debo we know, but at the end of the day, he can change a game.
Like it's hard to tackle the guy.
Yeah, he can change a
Like,
game.
Laramie Tunsil also in the trade.
Just helping Jaden Daniels
Yeah.
even more.
Like their offensive line has not been the greatest tackle wise. They had Cornelius Lucas and Andrew Wiley, and then Sam Cosme, who's really an interior offensive lineman, playing tackle. So, and then they also got Javon Kinlaw to replace Jonathan Allen on a more cheap deal, and he's younger.
I don't know why, but I've liked him since he played for the 49ers, since they drafted him.
Yeah, I'm glad he's starting to move in his career, because when the 49ers drafted him, it was like people were saying he was a bust already.
But the D line room he was in was stacked that year though.
Yeah, but I'm glad that he's
he's starting
making a career of it.
Yeah, he's making a
Yeah.
name for himself at the end of the day.
It's hard to do that in the NFL.
Yeah.
Commanders also bring back B-Wags, the linebacker. I wonder how long he's going to play. Bobby Wagner he's a future Hall of Famer. Like, he was on that defense in Seattle
Legion of Boom.
that, literally won a Super Bowl, and he's still out there doing it.
Yeah,
So,
obviously, he's older. He's not playing at, that high of a level no more, but he's still positively contributing, and it is still a leader for the defense for those younger guys.
yeah, and also they cut Jonathan Allen, like we said, replaced him with Javon Kinlaw. We'll talk about him later. Lost Jeremy Chin to free agency and lost Dante Fowler Jr. There were some smaller things they did. Michael Gallup came out of retirement. They signed Michael Gallup. We'll see what that happens with a reunion with Dan Quinn. I mean, he didn't coach him because he was a defensive coordinator, but I'm sure they know each other. So, but that's
And
it for the Commanders.
what do you think? What do you think some people's expectations are for the Commanders? Because I don't know. Like, there's gonna be those people that, oh, they made the NFC Championship, might as well say the Super Bowl, right? But it's just like you still have the Eagles and
Yeah,
the Chiefs of the world. So it's just like I say, it's just like
nothing is guaranteed in this
yeah.
league. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the Bills and the Ravens, and I'm still thinking that those are hot teams to win the Super Bowl.
Bills definitely up there for like some. They definitely made some moves. They got Joey Bosa.
They got Josh Palmer from the Chargers. He's a very underrated receiver.
So for my team, my first team at least, I have the Chargers. They kept Khalil Mack, Bradley Bozeman. They added Najee Harris to go into the backfield with J.K. Dobbins, who had a good year after revived his career from a lot of injuries, and this year was his best year stats wise since his rookie year in Baltimore. Rushed for 900 and some change. Added Mekhi Becton. So looking at these signings, what I'm getting from this is their motto next year is going to be run until you can't no more. I can definitely see the chart. They were already top 10, if I'm remembering that correctly, in the rushing stat as a team. With this addition, you have Mekhi Becton, who played a big part on the Eagles line.
Mm-hmm.
And you still have Joe Alt. You know, he don't even have to be introduced. Like, you know who that is. So I just feel like I can see, realistically, I can see them being one of the best rushing teams in the league next year. Because you have Najee Harris, you have J.K. Dobbins, and then also with that rushing attack, like, they could have one of the most balanced attacks in the league. Because you got Justin Herbert. At the end, people will call him the what if king, but at the end of the day, Justin Herbert is a good quarterback.
Yeah, he just needs a little bit of help. Not had a great receiver cast.
But now you have Lad McConkey. You just have to just use what you're given, you know? So it's just right now I can just see them being one of the that's my main point of all this. They could have one of the best rushing attacks next year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a matter of what it's going to come down to and what works at the end of the day and who's available, because we have a long time from now to that first game, even preseason, because anything can happen in preseason.
Yeah, that's a scary offensive line. I mean, 2 all-pro tackles. Like, not all pros. One of them's going to be, and he's 22. So, but I'm excited to see that. So, and with my second team, I have the Steelers, who went out and traded for DK Metcalf. Nobody really expected that.
Nah,
We
especially
thought he might get moved, but nah.
And then no one expected him to go to Pittsburgh, especially after what he said. He came out and said he wants somewhere with nice weather.
Yeah, Pittsburgh is.
It has the greatest weather in America.
Yeah, just warm all the time.
All the time. Wear shorts any time of the year.
But yet, DK and Pickens. Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Oh, I saw the clip from Cam Newton, and it really does that. Those two, George Pickens and DK Metcalf, that's gonna be a sight to see
For sure. And they have Calvin
Austin,
Calvin Austin.
dog.
He can run right by you. Like,
Dog.
he's insane.
And right now, like with those two, like he can just be there and just start killing you. Like,
Yeah.
They have it right now. You know, some people said I don't know.
Freiermuth.
Yeah, and Pat Freiermuth. So, and Pittsburgh loved him. You know, he catch the ball. All you hear is moo. So, you know, people say they don't know why he went there because of quarterback reasons, but oh well, you know.
And they also lost Dante Jackson, and they replaced him with Darius Slay. And they also grabbed a safety in Juan Thornhill. So they lost out on some DBs, replaced them. cost effectively how they could. They also lost Najee Harris, as we spoke about, to the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
They brought back they opted into Jalen Warren. So they wanted to keep one of the two, and they probably didn't want to pay Najee what they had to. So
Yeah.
Jalen Warren's a good guy too, like nearly the same stats the past couple of years, but they lost Dan Moore, one of their tackles. So Troy Fautanu, who didn't really play a lot, that was their first round pick. He's gonna have to step up, and we'll see what he can do. And the big news today with the Steelers is Aaron Rodgers is on a visit as we speak in Pittsburgh. So we'll see what comes out of that, and maybe tune into the Pat McAfee show and see if he's gonna make a big signing or something. We'll see.
We might see a repeat. He's gonna be on the call on the Pat McAfee show, and like Darius Slay is gonna walk in the background or something. Yo. But nah, my second team is gonna be Denver. Denver went and added Evan Ingram. I always struggle with this. Talanoa Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw. Something I got from their offseason so far, they're just adding to an already good defense.
Yeah.
And so it was really hard to like miss on defense because if you missed, you had somebody else there because they already have a good defense, obviously. DPOY, Pat Surtain, all of that, don't even have to be talked about. But the Evan Ingram signing, I feel like, is very good for Bo Nix. They didn't really have that like tight end. You know what I'm saying? And Evan Ingram, he's proved that he can be that safety blanket, or he can go up the field if he wanted to.
Yeah.
And that really just helps Bo Nix, who we just saw get better like every week this past season.
You really just look at players that get slandered in New York on the Giants and then just leave and have like just insane careers.
Yeah. And so I just feel like Denver, the expectation isn't crazy high. I feel like the expectation is still playoffs, maybe like a deeper playoff run. But I feel like Denver might be one of those like sneaky teams to watch next year.
And we can doubt them as much as they can, but they were looking pretty decent against the Bills,
People are gonna talk about how they almost remember the game where they played the Bengals.
Oh yeah, that was insane.
That was a great game, by the way. T. Higgins went off that game.
Parlay hit that game.
But like, Denver is just gonna be one of those teams to watch next year for me.
Yeah, and that's already a team that most people, like a casual football fan, wouldn't know this, but that's like the number one team in sacks last year. Nick Benito is insane. And so, when your corner doesn't have to work as much because you're getting to the passer, Surtain is insane, and when he doesn't have to work as much, it's
or when
perfect.
When the D line makes the quarterback force it his way, that just makes his job like even easier.
Mm-hmm. And defensive player of the year, so
the Broncos, like, especially if Dre Greenlaw, obviously wasn't as out there this year. He was coming off an Achilles injury, but if he can get back, not to fully what he was, but at least like halfway, he can majorly contribute to that defense.
For sure, that's going to be scary.
Because for the 49ers, I feel like, yes, Fred Warner was the better linebacker of the two, but Greenlaw was like, he was the dynamite stick. Like,
yeah, he's insane.
Like when he got injured because he was running out onto the field.
Mm-hmm.
So Dre Greenlaw is that guy that's going to bring the energy to the defense. And if you can get even more energy out of that Denver defense, oh my gosh. They might end up go back to their no-fly zone ways. You never know.
Most definitely. And for my last team, my third, I'm going to go ahead and go with the Vikings. The Vikings already were pretty surprising last year, disappointed in the playoffs, but they're going to move a ton, and they did that. In free agency, they've been known not to have the greatest defensive line. They had Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel, some surprises. They drafted Dallas Turner last year. They're kind of set there. They wanted to go interior. They've never really been that good, so they went and got Jonathan Allen, got Javon Hargrave, and they re-signed Byron Murphy. Improved that interior offensive line and got Will Fries and Ryan Kelly, and let go of Bradbury. Sam Darnold, we know he went to the Seahawks, so
They're all in on McCarthy.
they're gonna depend on McCarthy, and he's very young, so I think he's 21.
A lot of mixed emotions around the league about him. Some people are saying, "Oh, I don't know why they did it," and then others
He's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
He's gonna be fun. He's got Justin Jefferson, he's got Biletnikoff and Jordan Addison, and Cam Bynum, their safety that was starting all those dances. I like him.
Yes.
He's pretty good. He went to Indy, so we'll look to see what they can do. But the Vikings overall, I think they can. It's all about just getting over the hump, Like,
they always go win 14 games and then
14-3.
lose in the first round.
man, I just want to see them like not
Yeah.
be inconsistent like that. But that's all I gotta say for the Vikings. Just get over the hump.
All right, and for my last team, it's going to be the Giants. Now, we all know what happened with the Giants this year. Got rid of Daniel Jones halfway through the year. Was jumping between Tommy DeVito and Drew Lock at starter. They're third in the draft. Right now, for some people, the top three quarterbacks are Dart. This is in no particular order, but Dart, Shador, and Cam Ward. And they're at 3, which is kind of awkward because any of those 3 teams, both, in my opinion, let me go to Tankathon so I don't get this wrong really quick. Because this year's draft order is the first 3 in particular, very important. So the first 3 is Tennessee, Cleveland, and New York, right at that third spot. Tennessee right now, they have Will Levis. We don't know if they're going to move on from Will Levis. We don't know how long they're willing to make it work, and we don't know how short his leash is this year because obviously it's been pretty long.
Mm-hmm.
And so Tennessee could go quarterback. Cleveland can go quarterback because right now, who is their starter? Right now, Kenny Pickett.
Deshaun Watson.
Kind of forgot about him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, very forgetful quarterback.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
But right now, like, they're kind of in need.
I'm thinking that they're not going to go quarterback.
They can either go quarterback or defense. We just don't know.
I think their GM, Andrew Berry, came out and said, like, we have our quarterback.
Oh, okay. Well, they have their quarterback then.
And I think Myles Garrett wants Abdul Carter bad.
So unless that's not, like, smoke screen of the century.
Yeah. Who knows? But
yeah, like, this could go very bad for New York, but it could also go very good for New York.
Yeah. I think it's Shador time.
Because Tennessee is either picking – right now I've seen most mock drafts have, like, Abdul Carter going 1. But I think Tennessee is going to take quarterback.
I think they're going to go Cam Ward.
And that's the thing. If they go Cam Ward, and then New York has to cross their fingers that Cleveland, like, gets Abdul Carter. Because in my opinion, you don't really want to reach on Jackson Dart in the top 3. So if you, like, that puts you, if Cleveland goes Shador Sanders, that leaves New York in a situation where they have to think about if they want to reach for Dart or just.
Yeah, no.
Like, it just puts you in a very bad situation. So I feel like, to talk about who they added Javon Holland, they kept Darius Slayton, and they added Paulson Adebo. Very good corner in New Orleans, across from Alontae Taylor. Right, for what I have for them, right now I feel like they just have to help whatever quarterback you do end up with, and keep Neighbors happy at the end of the day, because that is, like, no question about it, that's your receiver.
Yeah.
So New York, their whole game plan needs to be to make whatever situation you're going to be in come that first week, for that whatever quarterback that's starting week 1, is to make his surrounding cast to be so good or good enough to where it makes the quarterback not have to turn into a like Superman.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? And the big thing about New York's free agency is that they lost no one. So they're pretty much going in with the exact same team. And right now, the only two quarterbacks on their roster is Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito. So New York is in a very like you just have to wait. Like they're in a very like they have to be patient right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because as we know right now, everyone in the first round of the NFL in the first round at least, they have their own draft pick. So
and nobody's trading right now.
Yeah, no one's trading. Now,
We're
obviously,
a month away.
Obviously, that could change on the night. You know, New York could get antsy and like try to, start talking with Cleveland. Hey, we know you want Abdul Carter. Just let us either pick Abdul Carter where you're at, or like let us scooch up there and take Shador. But right now, New York is they just have to play the waiting game at the end of the day. So New York could definitely end up with it could be Shador time. We just don't know right now.
Yep. And I mean, that's been a historically bad secondary, and Deontay Banks is a great. I love the way he plays the game, even though he talks trash about my CD.
He's just a pest, bro.
Yeah, he's good, and maybe having Javon Holland play the nickel, and I mean that could be good.
And then Debo at the 2, that's not as your second corner. That's not bad.
Not at all.
So I feel like New York, they're in a position to get better next year. They only won 3 games.
NFC East on the come up.
Yeah, they only won 3 games. So next year they could end up, who knows, winning 6.
Yeah,
you never know. But
that's it for me.
Yeah, free agency. It wasn't the craziest, free agency class this year. It wasn't big names, but big enough, I guess.
Yeah, very unexpected how it went, and then the trades also just made it very exciting. So
as a Panthers fan, we filled some needs. We could have been a little aggressive, but Rico Dowdle on a year. It's okay. We got Trayvon Moehrig. Finally, we have a safety. Finally,
the TCU guy.
We finally have a safety. That's all that matters.
What about Xavier Woods?
He's in Tennessee. Get him.
Oh,
yeah, get him out of here. Well, he's in Tennessee.
Whoa.
So right now we got Trayvon Moehrig, Damani Richardson. I really like Damani Richardson. We got Tershawn Wharton
from the Chiefs.
Yeah, and then I just feel like we weren't aggressive, but we went after our needs. We knew we were bad on defense, and then we also knew we needed that second running back. We literally kind of swapped with the Cowboys. So I feel like Dan Morgan really played it safe. Panthers Twitter, they're like, you guys are very wishy-washy. You move the goalpost. But at the end of the day, we don't control what goes on up there. We just have to live with what happens and watch the games. So
for sure. And I mean, I'll go quickly for the Cowboys.
Punter, long snapper, I think.
Long snapper Trenton Sieg, big offseason deal.
Very big.
1 year, $1.75 million. But no, I mean, at edge, that's what we really wanted to be improved. I think the defense will be decent. They improved. They got Jack Sanborn, the linebacker from the Bears. They got Kenneth Murray.
I like
Oklahoma
Kenneth
guy.
Murray.
Yeah, he can run traffic out there.
Yeah.
With the passes, but
you hate to see how the whole D-Law thing went down though. Yeah. But it's all right.
It's all good. I mean, he's coming to the end of his prime. I'm pretty sure it's a 3-year deal in Seattle, but it's really a 1 year.
Yeah.
It's one of those where like the team can opt out of it pretty soon, and he's getting up there. And they replaced him well. The Cowboys really they broke their previous free agency record. The biggest signing they've had in the last decade was in 2015 with Greg Hardy, $6 million. So
Panthers legend.
They signed a
UFC legend too.
Fowler and a Cowboy legend.
Oh my gosh!
This guy just does it all.
Oh my gosh!
This guy just does it all.
He's everywhere. He's what you call a Swiss Army knife.
He literally does it all.
He's a Swiss Army knife.
But yeah, I mean, Dante Fowler Jr. is back, and it's really just the offense that they're gonna have to deal with in the draft and improve soon. Hopefully, I'm thinking like Stephon Diggs. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't get my hopes up. You know.
Yeah. A lot of people still on the board. We still got a while to go before. What is it? A couple weeks before draft night.
I think it's about a month from now.
A month.
Yeah.
So anything can happen from now to then. Anyone can get signed. You know, anyone can just randomly retire. You just never know.
Yeah, you don't.
So, but that's going to be the end of this episode, the second Up the Score podcast episode. Like I said, go in the comments, put who you think your sleepers are for the NBA Finals, March Madness. What teams do you think won in free agency? Did we get it wrong? Did we get it right? Could we have changed something? We will never know. But you can let us know.
You got to let us know.
If you go down to the comments and type it in. And then also press the like button because you're already down there. And then what's right next to the like button, Thomas?
The notification bell.
But you don't get the notification bell
Subscribe.
until you subscribe. Hit the big red button. But that's gonna conclude this episode. We will be back next week around the same time. So don't be too sad that we're gone.
We'll
be
be
happy
back.
that it happened. But we will be back next Friday. Like I said, I'm Houston Darden, and this is Thomas Hart. Go Mean Green, and we're out of here.